Tell me your name.
Andrea Kelly. Oh, should I answer the question form? Like, my name is Andrea Kelly.
Yes, answer everything in the question form. Anything
Okay.
I ask in the question form,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Now, where are you from, Andrea?
I'm a gypsy, so I'm not really from anywhere. But if I had to say a place that I'm actually, a place that I actually have roots, that would be Los Angeles.
Okay. So, we're going to skip ahead. I would ask you all about your toddler years and all that, but, people really want to hear about your life. So tell me this, why did you decide to do this?
Because I have a lot of information to share about the...
Take your glasses off.
Okay. I have a lot of information to share. A lot of events happened in the 90s that people don't know about, and people are interested. So I felt compelled to share details of what happened behind the scenes before hip hop actually really became one of the biggest tapestries in America. That was a good one.
Right. So you were would you say you were a part of creating the culture?
I wouldn't probably say that, because that's a pretty heavy description. And I'm back. But no, I would not say I'm part of creating a culture. No, I would not say.
So what would you say your contribution has been? Like why would you say you matter?
I would say I matter because I have information that people are curious about. You always need the before, the during, and the after, and I played a lot of parts in the before, or not even a part, but I was there in the before, or in the very beginning.
So would you call yourself a witness to the culture being made?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, we always need a witness, you know what I mean? Because we hear, there's the left side, the right side, and there's always something else that's missing down the middle. And so you can provide some perspective for people of what it was like, right?
Absolutely.
What it is, I think the reason I'm doing this is that, we hear some of these stories, but we don't hear it. It's never really talked about the fun. You know what I mean? Like, we had so much fun doing this, right? When it was happening, I don't think any of us had a sense of what it was going to really be, right?
No, there was no clue of what it was going to be, because for me, I was just living in the moment. I didn't think that some of this stuff was going to turn into be something major. I didn't think that, Carl Kanai was going to be big. I didn't know Dapper Dan was going to be like a whole entire movement. I had no idea that Mike Tyson being the heavyweight champion was going to be like the biggest thing ever. It didn't even dawn on me. Maybe when you're going through these situations, you don't think that, you're going to look up and Tupac isn't going to be here, So no, I had no idea that any of these things were going to happen. I couldn't even have foreseen that, because, when you're young, you're just living in the moment. It's not like nowadays when we have social media, they give you all these affirmations and deep thinking, and the moon creates this kind of energy. So we didn't have information like that to tell us, the direction or predictions. We didn't have predictions. So we didn't have any clue. We just thought we were living in the moment. And our parents, for me and my friends, our parents weren't in the industry, had nothing to do with entertainment whatsoever. So they couldn't even walk us through a step-by-step, or in case this happens, we had no idea. We were just out there living La Vida Loca.
Right. So where would you say your story began? Or begins?
My story would begin. It's interesting. I would have to say my story begun probably in my apartment on Fifth Avenue and Adams. I remember we had a long mirror in my entryway, and I would stand in front of the mirror and I would just sing songs like New Edition when they first came out, Michael Jackson, those songs, and listening to them. Back then we used to have the album cover, and we'll look at everything, and you know, memorize all the words and look at all the people on the album cover. So I remember actually singing these songs and pretending like I actually knew these people. So that's where I would say it started. But I think that it ultimately began is I used to, on Fifth Avenue, the direction I would park my car was headed south. I mean, excuse me, headed north. And you can see the Hollywood sign on a good day. And when I would pull up to my house, I would always, I don't know why, I would always think, like, I wonder what Rick James and Tina Marie are doing. I don't even know if they were together. I don't know anything about them as a couple. I don't know why every time I saw the Hollywood sign, I would always think like, God, I know they're up there. It's so bizarre. This, a lot of people don't know. But when I would
Now,
look
you
at
know,
the Hollywood, huh?
quite kept though. You brought up somebody who I actually had a connection with, which was Tina Marie. So I grew up in Inglewood, as you know, and Tina Marie used to come to my park where I grew up at.
Oh, okay.
Tina Marie used to come to Rogers Park in Inglewood and
Mm.
play basketball. She could
Mm.
hoop. Tina Marie could hoop. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my daughter had her first alcoholic beverage on New Year's Eve with Tina Marie, actually.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think she was like a 13 years old.
Yeah, no, we used to hoop with Tina Marie. Tina Marie had a nice little game.
Oh wow. So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's kind of where it all started for me. Yeah. Hi. People are here.
Is that your daughter?
That's my daughter. I don't know. She went down the hall.
What's your daughter's name?
Morgan. You want to say hi? Morgan, come here.
And who's Morgan's dad?
Morgan's dad is corrupt.
Morgan's
let me go back. So let me just say this. So I always would think, oh, okay, maybe she shouldn't come and say hi. I'm gonna put on my shirt. Okay, great job. So yeah, so when I would park my car, I would always think like, God, I wonder what they're doing. I bet they're having like these unimaginable parties. I bet they're like really like doing it big. And I always would think that every time I pulled up in front of my house and I could see the Hollywood sign, I would always think about Tina Marie and Rick James. I don't know why them. I don't know what the hell made me think about that. It just seemed like they were Hollywood royalty and like they were in the Hollywood Hills and they were just balling out of control and they were wearing mink coats around the pool. And I don't know why I thought that. But that's just like,
you had a whole video.
I had a whole vision for them, like literally, and I'm not joking around. I would always see that every time I pull up to my house and I would see the Hollywood sign. This is exactly the first thought I would have. So it was kind of ironic that my daughter would spend a New Year's Eve with her, and it's ironic that I end up actually spending a Super Bowl Sunday with his daughter, Ty James. So, it's kind of weird how everything kind of comes around in a full circle when you're envisioning things. And I go back to say that I used to always sing Mr. Telephone Man and all these songs. I used to think, gosh, you always pick one of them as your boyfriend. It's ironic that later on they became my homeboys. Nothing ever, happened like dating or anything, but they were always really cool and always really respectful. And they always end up being like my homies. Oh, here's
right.
my daughter.
You had your fair share of homies though, right? So you talking about when you had your apartment on Fifth Avenue, but that would be, hi Morgan.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Oh, sorry.
So now, Morgan, now are you? What do you do when you're not just hanging out with your mom?
We don't hang out. She's 24. We don't hang out.
So right now I'm preparing to go to ultrasound technician school. That's my backup plan. Head into the nursing field because that's guaranteed. Can't take away your job doing that, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm actually rethinking about heading into acting.
You should.
I put that on hold, so it's like I feel like now is the perfect time.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, we're gonna invite you to come in and talk. We're talking with your mom about her journey, and we're gonna invite you to come in too because I know you're a big part of her story.
Oh really? I'm excited. I was over here hearing she lives her best life. I remember all the stories. She's not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you got a few, right?
Woo! She reminds me. But I just want to come say hi. And then you guys enjoy.
I'm glad you popped in.
Have a good one.
You too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but what I was saying was that I think you skipped ahead a little bit because then what high school did you go to?
Westchester.
Who'd you go to high school with?
I went to high school with Tim Story, who was the director or producer, I can't recall, Barbershop. I went to school with Daphne Wayans, who is married to Damon Wayans. Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Oh, Keenan Ivory Wayans, okay.
Yes. I also went to school with Regina King.
Right.
We all know Regina King, and we love her. Right. And Nia Long.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Now, who out of that group would you
And
say you
John
was close?
Atterbury. We cannot forget John. John
And
Atterbury.
John Atterbury, yes. Shout out to
John
John.
Atterbury.
I mean,
That was my friend. That was my friend.
John was an amazing dude, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, and Tim's story, Ride Along and Fantastic Four, and
Right. Yeah. Tim
you
Story
know,
did a lot
I
of stuff.
know Tim from when he first started doing when he was at Heavyweight Records, and he started doing music videos. I was managing a recording artist named Benito that was signed to the label, and Tim was starting to do his first music video with these random dudes out of the South. Some cats named 3-6 Mafia. We like, who is these cats, right? So but I showed him to the
Grammy
video,
winners.
right?
No, sorry, Oscar winners. Bigger
Oscar winners. Yeah, they won the first Oscar. Yeah, I showed him the video shoot, and it wasn't no girls. Right? Like they had, you know, my guy, he was like a love singer, and you know, and I knew that the rappers wanted some girls. Like they had all the visuals, like he had the whole concept tight, but it was no females. And so I was like, man, give me a trailer, give me a phone, and I worked my magic and had a bunch of models show up. So you know, I cast one of Tim Story's very early music videos.
Oh, sweet.
Okay. Yeah, it was tight. But out of those people, you know, out of Tim, John, Nia, Regina, who would you say you was the closest with in school?
John.
John? Okay. Now, what was you and John like? What was their relationship like?
So basically, during nutrition, I would go to the bleachers and I would smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, but I did. And John would read the newspaper. So every day during nutrition, we would sit on the bleachers. He would read the paper and tell me how bad smoking was for me. And usually he would find little clips in some kind of magazine or something and share them, like how bad it was for me. And I would smoke the cigarettes, and that's what we would do. It seemed like we were kind of like low-key outcasts or something. I don't know. I don't even know how we became friends, to be honest with you. But that's what we would do every day is during nutrition.
Okay. And what about Nia?
Nia, I in the 10th grade, I needed extra credits. So I had signed up to this school called by Maranello. I believe it was called Maranello. And it was on
Maranello's still around, yeah.
Right, Maranello, I believe that's what it was called. And it was
school,
on
right? A beauty school, right?
Yes, it was a beauty school. And they gave you extra credits. So, you know, you had a choice. You could take these certain courses at certain places to get these extra credits. So I needed extra credits. And I went to this beauty school. Now, I used to also smoke weed. And so I knew this girl who, I think we smoked weed maybe at lunch or something. I can't really remember how I ended up becoming friends with the girl. But anyway, we were at the beauty college and it was raining. And we were on a break. And so she's like, you know, come outside and smoke. Me and my homegirl are going to be outside smoking. And I went outside and it was Nia Long. And then when school was over, I was calling my mom to come pick me up. Uh-oh, something happened again. Sorry, we're going to have to get a handle on that because ain't nothing fly about that, okay? Yeah, that ain't fly. We're going to have to figure that out because I can't do that one. So what would happen was, it was raining. And so I was calling my mom. She didn't answer. And Nia was like, oh, I'll take you home. No problem. So we ended up going down Crenshaw. And on our way down Crenshaw, we met these guys who were like from Carson. They were like these, at the time, they weren't as big drug dealers as they end up becoming. But she started dating the cousin, and I started dating the other cousin. And then we just end up hanging out every day after school, and we end up becoming friends.
So now, is this before Friday?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was like in the 11th grade. I was in the 10th grade. Yeah, okay. This was way before that. Like at least 4, 5, 6 years before that. Absolutely, way before that.
Was she acting?
She was going to acting school.
Okay.
She already knew. Something happened?
No.
Oh, okay. She already knew she was going to be an actress because she was getting out of school early when we were, by the time I got to the 11th grade, she was in the 12th grade. She was already leaving school during lunch. So she only had 4 classes.
So what kind of person was she?
Funny. Kind of bougie a little bit, but not to the point where she was annoying. Because you could tell she had higher standards for herself. Even as a young person, she kind of carried herself a certain type of way, you know, like an adult. You know, when we're still like young and goofy and kind of silly. But I don't know. I think that a lot of that had to do with being the only child because I'm the only child as well. So you could tell that we just kind of had this mature thing about us. And that's one of the things that made us gel. So she was very mature and she was like a young adult already. Like even in the 11th grade, she was like literally already an adult.
Okay.
Yeah, she was very mature.
Y'all met when y'all were in the 10th grade. So like, what would you guys do?
She was in the 11th grade. I was in the 10th grade.
You were in the 10th. She was in the 11th. So what would you guys do? Like, tell me some stories. Some stuff you guys used to get into.
Well, remember we did have the drug dealer boyfriend, so we spent a lot of time with them at their house in Carson.
Okay.
And then we eventually, I want to say maybe when I was in the 11th grade, that's when they introduced me to somebody who helped me get my fake ID. And once I got my fake ID, then we started going to clubs like the Palladium.
So you used to go to the Palladium with Nia Long?
I want to say, I think we used to go to Jamaica House together. I don't think we were going to the Palladium together, but I think we were going to Jamaica House and Water the Bush. So those are like the two main places that we went to together. Yes. You
were going to the Water the Bush in the 10th and 11th grade?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Yeah, Jamaica House.
And actually, we were going to Water the Bush in Jamaica House with Keith Crouch. And Keith Crouch wasn't popping back then. You know Keith Crouch?
Right, yep.
Yeah, so he ended up being like a really big producer and stuff. He did a lot of Vanessa Williams stuff. Her first album, Comfort Zone, I think. But he was just, like a regular guy. I forgot all about Keith Crouch. He was really cool. I liked him. He was a nice guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Andre Crouch's nephew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you had a lot of like popping people at your school.
Yeah, in my school, yes, definitely in my school. Yeah.
Okay. And so you and Nia started hanging out. Now you was telling me something about how you actually introduced Nia to her sister.
So Nia and I would meet up after school. So my boyfriend would pick me up. He used to have a 5.0. He would pick me up in his 5.0.
The drug dealer.
The drug dealer boyfriend, yes. Right. Eric. His name was Eric Carver.
Okay.
And he's dead now, but he used to pick me up from school, and in his convertible 5.0. And then we would go to his house in Carson, I think it was. Yeah, Carson. And Nia would meet me after school. Sometimes we'd hang out at her house or whatever. She lived like off of Obama Boulevard, and those apartment buildings on Obama Boulevard. They look like townhouses kind of, and they're in the cut, and they're on the south side of the street. Do you know where I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Right, and it's a lot of them, right?
Yeah, it's like a little neighborhood over there, but you don't know it if you just riding by.
Yes.
It's like it look like
a lot of trees over there.
Yeah,
you can't really see over there. Yeah, okay. It's beautiful. On the inside, the apartments or whatever townhouse. Oh, beautiful, right?
Nice. They still nice right now.
Right. So, so that's where she lived at, and so we'd spend time and hang out over there. Sometimes we get ready to go out or whatever it was. So anyway, her mom could sing like Minnie Riperton. She had like this Tracy Ross kind of look to her, and she was more of a brown skin kind of woman.
Right.
Like Tracy, like maybe like, I want to say like a Tracy Ross type of woman.
Right.
She could sing really good. She was all into the African dancing, African art. She looked, she wore like the African garb. She was like real Afrocentric before it was popular.
It was that time, right.
Yeah, it wasn't popular like now.
About early 80s.
Yeah, she was like already wearing, spandex pants with her ballet shoes. Like you could tell she was in the arts, performing arts. I think she was even an art teacher. I think she did sculptures. Like this lady was totally an artsy, fartsy kind of lady. Like beautiful.
Nia Long's mom.
Yes, Nia Long's mom. Then I would hang out with this other girl, which I don't even know how I met this other chick, but I used to hang out with her during lunch. So remember, I used to hang out with John during nutrition.
Right.
And then during lunch, I would leave school and we would go smoke weed at this girl's house named DJ Reed.
Okay.
DJ, you know how you're just talking with your friends and you're talking about your family and your background and where you come from, blah, 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 blah. And now she starts telling telling me about her mom was dating someone at the job, but he had a wife. Nia told me her mom was married to the pharmacist and he had cheated on her and had another kid, and the kid went to our school.
Okay.
But don't quote me on that because I can't remember who told me who knew their sibling was at the school. I think it was Nia who knew that the sibling was at the school. Okay. So when I'm sitting with DJ's telling me about her dad having an affair on his wife and the mom, her mom. But then I look at DJ's mom, and DJ's mom looks like Nia's mom, except she looks like more of a white, black, Italian type. You know, the same Tracy Evans type, but you know the kind, you ever seen the kind that look like that, but they look like they could be Italian or Jewish?
Right.
So she had that kind of look, but she was the same type of woman. Like, for example, I probably don't look like it now, but like men who would think, what's her name? Lisa Bonet. Like a lot of times the guys who like Lisa Bonet would say they like me because I would be like the same type of woman, or a Sade type of woman. So
right.
These two women had the same character. They had the same kind of features. They were both mixed looking. Their hair texture was both like this. They both were super intelligent, except DJ's mom was more political. She was more like, she was a lawyer. Once I put the lawyer together with the art lady, and then they had the same type of hair texture, they both had the same look, it was clearly obvious their dad had a type. And you know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at these two women, and they're the same type of women. So I'm telling DJ, one of them, I can't even remember, I'm like, when they're telling me about the mom, I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I'm like, I freaking kick it with your sister, dude. Like, because I kick it with both of them every day. So I'm like, I kick it with your sister every day. And they're like, okay. So I'm like, I'm going to introduce you. Because I'm super cool with both of them. Like, I hang out with them. I go to their house. We kick it every day. So I don't know how we end up all hooking up, but somehow we end up hooking up. And it was another chick. Her name was Laura Cota. She was Mexican.
Okay.
And I don't know whose friend she was, to be honest with you. I want to think she was DJ's friend, I guess. So now we're like the four amigas. It's DJ, Laura Cota. Laura is the one I got the ID from. Now, I don't know. Laura was a little older than us, but I don't think Laura was 21. Laura was a makeup artist, and she was from Glendale. So it was myself, Andrea, DJ, Laura, and Nia. And we went everywhere together. We went to all these clubs together.
So hold on. What was it like when you first introduced Nia and DJ?
It was like we were all like already like a clique. It was like an instantaneous thing. Like we all were like inseparable. We were all together, period. But the difference was because Nia had her own kind of thing. Nia, it was like I spent time with Nia, but then I would spend time with DJ. We would go out together, but we really never, I would spend the night with DJ, I would spend the night with Nia. But it wasn't like we always all spent the night together. You know what I'm saying? It kind of was like that part was separate. Like it would be Nia, it would be Laura, DJ, and myself, and then Nia would come over. But Nia always was always doing her own thing. You know, she always went to acting school. She always was very mature. DJ was very mature too. So everybody was already like mini adults already.
Wow.
They had cars already. DJ had a Cherokee wagon, so she was already rolling. We would be in her car. Nia already had a Jetta. We were already like young adults. All we needed was an apartment. That's it, and we would have been lit.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. That's crazy that you introduced Nia along to her sister.
Yes, and you know what? I always wonder, like, do they even remember that, or would they try to make it seem like that? Because you know what? I followed DJ for a while on Instagram, I think, or Facebook, and it's ironic because I didn't even know Samore was their sister. I just found out because the dad had passed away. Do you know that?
Samore, yeah, I'd heard something about that. Samore, the comedian.
Okay, I didn't know that because nobody ever mentioned that. I don't know. Did they just find that out recently? You know, because I don't speak to DJ and I don't speak to Nia, so I was kind of like taken back that was their sister as well. And for some reason, I never see Nia talk about DJ or have her kids.
No, I think they still have a relationship from what I know. But I mean, I don't know what level of relationship. But I do know that she does talk about her sister every now and again. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's crazy. Now that's hella interesting. Man. So now so you and DJ were tight. What happened with you and DJ?
Well, to be honest with you, that was my fault. She had this jacket suit jacket. It was a pinstripe or something. It was a suit, but it was shorts. And for some reason, I just did not want to give it back to her, and she wanted it back. I think I was trying to wear it one more time. It was just so
you had borrowed it from her.
I had borrowed it from her, and maybe this day she wanted it. I didn't feel like giving it back. And I think that when I got a car, she started to feel like I neglected the friendship. And I also think she felt like maybe used or something, because we were young and we probably should have communicated like, hey, just because I got a car and I got other friends doesn't mean, I don't know. I just think that we probably, the communication, I take full responsibility for that. I'm not even going to front and try to be like, no, I'm not going to do that, because the love that I have for DJ and the sisterhood I had for them, I wouldn't even feel right if I tried to blame somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, I can't say that. And I don't know, maybe they can say they have played a part in it. I think that the conflict between DJ and I caused a wave between Nia and I, not a wave, but separation. It caused a division, because I think that with their new relationship, I think maybe Nia might have felt some kind of loyalty towards DJ, because now we're not cool. And it's not like we had a real falling out. It was petty. I should have gave her back her outfit, which was stupid. I don't know why. What did I want to hold on to the outfit for? It wasn't even that serious. And I should have probably told her, like, I got a car, and they knew I got a car, but I just think that they thought because I had other relationships and other friendships that I wasn't spending as much time with them. And it probably made them feel like now, I think I'm better than them, or now I'm maybe I was using them for their car. I don't know, because we never had a conversation about it. I can just assume that's how the kind of the conflict began. And so what ended up happening was DJ came over to my house to get her stuff. And she probably was already pissed off at me. She was entitled to that. And she tried to sucker punch me. And when she did, our hallway was really small because we live in a fourplex. And I picked up the iron. And because my mom was there, I guess, kind of prevented me from actually putting the iron on her, which thank God I didn't, because that would have been a disaster. I burned this whole lady's face up. Like, who knows what the hell might have happened. So thank God I didn't do that. And then anyway, so I didn't see her after that. So that kind of like fizzled out.
You saw her again after that?
I saw her again at the Palladium. It was a lot of confusion and conflict going on at the Palladium. When the end of the Palladium, it started becoming like a gang fest, street fighting 101. And so it was a lot. I don't remember who we were there to see, but it was a lot of drama going on. And it's crazy because the Palladium was like a place where everybody went to. And even though there was a VIP section, the artists didn't always stay in the VIP. It's not like nowadays with the bottle service. The artists would come down and walk around and chill. And, it was like a big, huge theater where even in the VIP, you could see down over into the area, and then the stage and stuff. So we were walking around, and I remember I saw Big Daddy Kane. And, back then it was like either like LL Cool J or you like Big Daddy Kane. And so I saw Kane, and I was like, my friends like, because I always be like, oh, Big Daddy Kane, he's so cute, and blah, 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 blah. And I really like Big Daddy Kane and Big Daddy Kane. And so we end up seeing him. They're like, girl, if you don't go up and say something, I'm like, what do you mean go up and say what? Like, what am I going to say to him? And so I walk up to him, and my friends like pushing me, on the low. And so I go and I'm like, oh, hi, I just wanted to say hi. If I didn't say hi to you, I would really never forgive myself. And he was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. That was the end of that. We went upstairs to the bathroom. And while I was in the bathroom, some lady said there's some people downstairs waiting for you. And I'm looking around like, okay, what do you mean people? And what is she talking about? I go downstairs, it's the Nation waiting. So I guess he must have sent them to the restroom to come and get me. I don't know if it was the
Islam.
Yes, the Nation of Islam came to get me from the bathroom. I walked over to where he was.
So Big Daddy Kane had Fruits of Islam as his security.
Yes. And remember, he's I don't know if you know this, but he's a 5%er. So they were all tied in together, Jim Brown and all of them together. And so he ended up inviting me and my friends over to where he was staying, which he used to stay at Jim Brown's house. And so we went to Jim Brown's house, and well, he was like, ride with me over to, up the hill or whatever. My friends will follow me in my car. So I go to walk around. I remember he was in I don't remember what those Benzes were called, the little square, not the heart-to-heart ones, but the Benzes. They were the two-seater. Were they like 500 SLs or something?
Yeah, 500 SL, yeah.
Okay, so I had a 500 SL, and it was white, and it was convertible. And we walked out to the car, and while we were walking to the car, he opened the door, and for me, and then when he walked back to the other side to get in the car, she came up and she hit me again. She sucker punched me again. So now,
wait, hold on. Who came and sucker punched you?
DJ.
So wait. So let me get this straight. So Kane
Now,
comes.
remember, I kind of saw her in the club. I didn't pay a lot of attention to her. I didn't pay attention because I'm over here.
So you saw her in the club earlier, but y'all
didn't even think about it. Didn't think about her because I'm on a whole nother page. I'm over here with Big Daddy Kane. I am not thinking about nothing about her. Okay, I'm on a whole different way.
Kane say, come with him to Jim Brown's house.
Yes.
Right?
You and your
friends.
Y'all
go to Jim Brown's house. He opens the door.
Friends. Wait, I want to make sure I say you and your friends. He's like, you and your friends want to come up and hang out with us.
Right.
Cool.
Right. So you and your homegirls is getting ready to go. Your homegirls gonna follow you in the car, right?
Yes.
And and so you jumping in the two-seater Benz with Big Daddy Kane.
Yes.
Right. How old were you?
I must have been 17.
Okay. Were you still in high school?
I had to be 17, huh?
Were you still in high school?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we all grown now.
Yeah.
So,
yes,
okay.
I was supposed to be in high school.
So now reset the scene. We're gonna reset this scene, right? So you walking out with Big Daddy Kane, you getting in the car, two-seater Benz.
Wait a minute. No, he opens the door for me.
Right.
When he goes back to walk on his side to get in the car, when he's walking to his side to open the door, she comes and she sucker punches me, okay? Now, let me rewind.
DJ Reed, Nia's own sister, still hot behind the outfit you took from her, right?
She'd already got the outfit back. This is like months later.
But she still had beef with you.
Yes, she was mad. You know what? Because that's why I have to say, like, I take full responsibility. She wasn't mad. That wasn't mad to come and do that. That was hurt.
Right.
And I know what it's like now being an adult. I know because I never had a confrontation with a stranger before. I've only had conflicts with people I love. So I know that was hurt. Whatever she felt that I did to her, that was pain. And she felt that I inflicted disrespect and hurt. That wasn't because she just was mad and I was just some bitch she was taking flight on. That was, she, you know what I mean? That was my friend. I loved her.
Right.
So, and luckily I did get an opportunity. Thank you, Facebook or whoever was over there, Mark, whatever his name is, Zuckerberg or whatever, is that his name? Thank God for Facebook because I got to apologize and tell because that weighed on me for a long time because I had a real sisterhood with them. I loved them. You know what I mean? We were like the sister traveling pants. Like, that was my life. That was a huge part. That's one of the group of women I grew up under. I learned a lot of things from them. So for me to not have any relationship with them, yes, that weighed heavy on me for a very long time because, like I said, I loved them and they were a huge part of my life. So anyway, so when I get, like I said, it was so much drama.
Kane opened the door for you. He goes around to the other side.
But it was so much drama in that parking lot that it was fights everywhere. Okay, when I say everywhere, I'm talking about literally there's a fight down there, there's a fight over there. So we're trying to hurry up and get in the car because it's like pure melee, okay, in the parking lot. It had to be at least 5 fights, okay? Me being probably the 6th, okay?
Right.
So, no, seriously, literally, okay? So, she comes, she sucker punches me while I'm getting in the car, knocks my earring off. I had the bamboo earrings. Oh, they were so fly too. They were like $500 earrings. Oh, they were so cute. Anyway, knocks the earring out of my ear. Luckily, whatever happened, I wasn't like all messed up or anything. Get in the car. Kane, he don't even know what happened, okay? Because he's trying to get in the car. So he doesn't even know all that has happened. Women are running up, trying to break us up. Like, I remember they were like, y'all shouldn't be out here doing this, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, when I go back and retrospect, like, bitch, I didn't even do anything. Like, what do you don't think this just hit me? Like, what are you talking about? But at that point, he opens the door and for himself and gets in. I guess he's looking for me because I'm clearly not in the car because, I'm like almost lightweight getting beat up. So eventually I'm able to get in the car. We drive off, go up to the hill and on to the next episode.
So you ended up at Jim Brown's house.
Jim Brown's house in Hollywood Hills.
Right.
Mm-hmm. At the top of the hill. Mm-hmm.
Right. So what was that night like?
Well, it was really like laid back. You know, it was just like you could tell that this is what they do. They bring the party after the hotel is the after party, and after the party is the hotel lobby, and blah blah blah, whatever. It was really laid back. You know, everybody was just chilling. It wasn't like anything bizarre or weird going on. You know, it wasn't like a freak show or anything. They were total gentlemen. They were really sweet. But um, I will say that from that night, I did not go home for at least 4, maybe 5 months. So after from that night, I went home one time to get my stuff, and then I went to New York, and I was with Kane for about 3 to 4 months.
So from that first night you met Big Daddy Kane.
Yes. For
you,
4 months straight, we were together.
And you left LA and went to New York.
Yes. Yes, I did.
Was it summertime? Was you out of school? Or
it was not. It was not summertime. I was not out of school. It actually was winter.
Okay.
Or maybe, yeah, it must have been going into winter because it was cold in a mug. And, you know, we're from California, so I didn't even have the proper attire. I didn't even have suitcases. I left with my stuff was in plastic bags. I put my stuff on a bag. Now you can't do that because this is way before 9/11. Right. I put my stuff on the plane with plastic bags. I did not have a suitcase. I was not prepared. I did not have a jacket like that. I did not have shoes that were warm. I just got on the plane. He was like, I'm going back to New York. Are you coming with me? Yep, I sure am. And went on to New York.
Now, would you say that was really where you started getting into the hip hop culture? Like,
oh, absolutely.
How you get to meet people and all that?
I'm not gonna say where I started meeting people, but that was the beginning. How it became the beginning they were doing listen up. This is when the Listen Up with Quincy Jones and the Barry White and the El DeBarge and all this stuff was going on, and they were I guess had just finished the project, or maybe they were just recording it when I came into the fold.
Right.
And so now they're starting to do we went to the opening night, I think it was, for the movie. And I remember I don't know where we were, but this lady was chasing a limo and it was raining and she slipped and she fell. And I was like thinking to myself, like, he is not all that. Now I know, now once I know him and I've been with him, I'm like, he is not all that to be running in the rain. And did she just
behind Big Daddy Kane limo?
Yeah. She's running, it's raining, and she slipped and she fell. And in my mind, I'm thinking, he's not all that. But I love how much she loves him, and you don't even know this guy. So it made me feel like this is what I want to feel. I want people to have this kind of feeling for me. I'm only child. My mom was a working mom. I wanted people to feel that kind of admiration for me. So when I came back, that's when I started to figure maybe I'll be a singer. So my friends, I had these 2 homegirls. They were starting a rap group. And so they were like, yeah, we're gonna, I overheard them say, yeah, we're gonna find one more girl. And I was like, I'll do it. And they were like, okay, you'll do it since when? And I was like, I'll do it. This, mind you, now I broke up with Kane and I came back to LA. So I can't remember what they call themselves. I wish I could remember. But I was like, oh, I could do it. So I went in their bathroom and I practiced Stevie Wonder, Ribbon in the Sky. So I come back and I sing the song and they're like, Trey, no. I'm like, what? No, what do you think? And they're like, you're in the group. Shut the are you serious? They're like, yeah, girl, we didn't know you could sing. Once they said I could sing and I could be in that group, that was it. That's all I needed to hear. So after that, I'll start doing, some hook me up. Let me be in your group. I've been in 1,000 trillion groups. Okay, we'll get to that. That's like 100 shows later. Because I got 1,000.
And listen, this is really the start of I would say this is, I would even call this chapter 1. This is probably like the prelogue, right? We get into a lot more, but I really think it was important for people to have some kind of context about you, right?
Okay.
So they can know a little bit about your story, because we got to get into the New York, the 4 months in New York, and what it was like with Kane and the breakup. You know what I mean? Like, of course, I know a little bit about the story. So we
gotta find the girl. We gotta go on. This is what I will say. I'm gonna try to go to Soul Train so we can find this chick, so we can show her picture up there. You know what I mean? Put it up there. Like, we gotta bring her. You know what I'm saying? We gotta show this bitch.
Hey, so you got pictures of you with Kane?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Okay. You know, we gonna get some. We have to make sure we show some of those.
Yeah, I do. Let me see. See,
Oh,
you
you
don't
got
play
some
with me. What?
Oh, snap! That's what I'm talking about.
You don't play with me. Don't play with me, Darren. Okay. Don't play with me. Okay. Please don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah,
Don't do it.
listen, we got a lot of ground to cover. We're gonna be doing this on a
Okay,
regular
so wait, let me tell you this. Oh,
Yeah.
well, look, this is an even better one.
Look at young Andrea and Kane. Okay, y'all was in love or something.
Yeah, whatever. I was, but I don't think he was, honey.
Now, were you in love or were you just trying to break out of LA?
What do you mean break out? I would have never thought about going to New York.
But just break out the doldrum, the life, you know what I mean? What you were in,
No,
you felt like
I would have never done that. I would have never done that. I would have never ran off with anybody that I did not know, especially not today. Like, no, you know what I mean? He could have me in a dungeon somewhere, cut me up. He could have been a serial killer. No, I wouldn't have ever done that. And no, I wasn't trying to run away. He is honestly, I can't say it now because I don't know if I would have to try it out again. But I think that he was a very passionate, you know, like in his raps, how he raps, that's really like how he is romantically. He is a very passionate.
he was a smooth operator. He was a smooth operator.
Yes, all the way. Yes, he was very passionate, very smooth.
Now, how much older than you is he?
I don't know. Good question. I have no idea, but I know he's an adult.
Well, I mean, he was young.
He probably doesn't even know my name because he never even asked my name. You have to remember back then it was before 9/11, so you didn't have ID. You didn't have to be ID'd everywhere and show your ID to get on the plane.
No, you just had to have a ticket. What did he call you?
Boo boo.
He called you boo boo.
Yep.
And you was and what'd your parents say when you just up and booked in New York?
My mom was disgusted. Okay, let me just keep it way 100. My mother was disgusted. She was repulsed by me. She was just so disappointed. She could not believe I left with a stranger. She didn't give a damn about a Big Daddy Kane, a Big Daddy shame, a Big Daddy fame. She was like, "What the hell is wrong with you? You have lost your ever-loving mind."
So from when you met him at the Palladium to you boarding a flight to New York, how long was that?
That probably was like 2 weeks, a week and a half.
Wow. So in a week and a half, not only did you decide to go, but he made a decision to take you with him.
Yes. And moved me in with him.
Wow. Okay. And now, had you traveled before that?
Never. Oh, yeah, yes, I had. I'd been to the Bahamas before, but that's like with my grandmother, you know, not like me and my friends or anything. We that wasn't popular back then. We didn't do, you know, we're like young. We're young girls then. We didn't.
Right.
Like nowadays, whenever you see every chick and she's boarding a plane, her and her 4 friends. We hadn't even probably been to Vegas yet together.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't even living your best life yet.
No, wasn't even living my life yet, let alone best life. That was the intro to my best life.
Okay. And so so you leave LA, go to New York, you out there posted up and I mean, obviously Kane was hot back then. So in New York, he was like a king.
Yeah. And that's where we were in Jamaica, Queens. Yeah. We were in Jamaica, Queens. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. When I came back, that's when the party got started. You know what I mean?
Came back to New York. Okay.
When I came back from New York.
Now you Andrea been out
I'm a
on
whole
the
other
East Coast.
person.
Yeah. You got your swag up, right?
That's when I started reaching out to people like, I want to be a singer. You got a plug? What do you know that? And when I came back from New York, that's when I met Keisha. That's it. You know, the ball had started rolling. Now before that, when I sang out with
Keisha Myers, y'all, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna get into her story. See, that's the great thing about this, right? Is that these stories, they all overlap, right?
Yes.
And so how you and I know each other is Keisha.
Right? Absolutely.
And Keisha is the reason I got into the industry. Really, the person who got me in the door from hanging outside her crib and watching her jump in the car and leave with y'all. Right? Yeah.
So that was the catalyst for me to kind of start getting my feet wet. And I think that once I decided, when I came back from New York and I decided to be a singer, that was really where everything changed. Because now I'm actually going into these environments, not just as I want to be seen, choose me. Now I'm going there because I have an actual plan. I have a strategy.
Right.
I'm coming to meet you because I want you to put me on. Now, it didn't always work out that way. Sometimes I didn't really feel confident to kind of put it out there. So I would kind of like feel it out and see how they felt. And, you know, because everybody wasn't into that. Some people didn't want to be, they wanted you to come just to like them. So, you know, you kind of
Right.
marinate them, you know, on it for a little while and see kind of
Now,
how.
now, don't get into the story because we'll get into that later. But is that how you end up being corrupt, or what, or how long between you coming back from New York until you actually meet corrupt?
Um, okay, so I honestly, that's kind of a tricky situation because Corrupt is one of my best friend's brothers. So it's
Okay.
not like I just met him like some random guy at the liquor store or at the club. He was my best friend's brother, baby little brother, and I didn't. We're the same age, but I did not know that. I thought he was like 4 or 5 years younger than me. So when I would see our little brothers, I'd be like, "Ew, can you tell your little grimy brothers to get away? Like, don't come over here," you know. So that's kind of an inside joke between me and him. Like, you know, I would call him Dusty and get your dusty brother away from me and stuff because he wasn't corrupt back then. They were like, you know, dusty boys, you know, like hanging
Right,
out on
right,
the street with
right.
their
So
dusty
you had known him for a long time.
yes, well, at least a good 6 years before anything ever transpired. And it's so crazy because when I did see him at a club, and that's how we actually connected because we were adults. We were like, well, I don't know about adults, but I guess it couldn't have been that much longer before I came back from New York because we were about to turn 21. He was about to turn 21, so I must have just turned 21. So obviously it wasn't that long because I was 17 when I left New York.
So
And
okay, well, but you know, back then, man, that's 4 years. So 4 years is a long time back then. You know, that's a
yeah, but
life.
I had a boyfriend too, and my boyfriend was actually Clarence Avant's. My boyfriend was Clarence Avant's protege. So he was already, you know, working over at Taboo and working with Tamika Wright, who's Easy E's baby mother or wife, and who's ex-wife,
Right.
who owns Ruthless. So I already had a boyfriend. I was already in a relationship, and it just wasn't going where I thought it was. So then I saw Corrupt, and we hooked up, and he told me right off the bat, like, I want to have a family with you. I've always been in love with you. I'm about to go out of town. I'm going to get this money. And when I come back, let's get a place, let's get a car, whatever we got to do. Let's be together. And I was like, okay. Because the other guy was like, let's get married, let's do this. And I'm asking him for like three. And it's crazy because how I met him is through John. Because I was like, John, you know, I want to be a singer and, you know, hook me up with the people. Because John was, you know, now he was in the music business. And so I was like, John, hook me up with somebody, you know, where I can go to the studio, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, okay, I got some friends. They just came from Atlanta. You know, let's go to the studio, this and that. So I get to the studio and I end up eventually dating the guy for like 3 or 4 years. And I'm like, let's at some point in 4 years, I'm like, are we gonna get married? What are we gonna do? Are we gonna have kids? Like, what's the deal? What's the plan? But he had a whole entire family he was taking care of. His dad had passed away, so he basically was taking care of his mom and his brother and his sister and her 3 kids. So they didn't like me because they felt like I was about to take food out of their mouth.
You about to cut the pie up. You.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing too much. So they didn't like me, and so he really couldn't fully commit like I needed him to, and like he probably should have. So by the time I got to the club, when Corrupt was like, "Hey, you know what? I already love you," and blah 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 blah, and I've been in love with you, and I already knew him, and he was my friend's brother. I was like, "Yeah, deuces." And I'm not gonna say I just threw up the deuces on the dude, but the earthquake happened. Remember the big earthquake?
Right.
The earthquake happened, and his mom came out here, and he was like, "Oh, I'm about to go back to Atlanta with my mom." I was like, "Oh, you just gonna abandon me and leave me?" I was like, "Okay, cool, bye." And then that's how the whole Corrupt thing happened. But so much had already happened before I even
Yeah.
got to Corrupt.
That
So
was
let's
what's crazy is that okay. So that's right around the time when when the earthquake happened. Right before that was when I moved back out here. So I had left and went to the military for a while. Right. So when I come back in '93. Right. And I wasn't back in LA 30 days before I was in Antelope County Valley Jail. Or what? I came back, fell back in with the homies. You know
all
what I
bad.
mean? All bad, right? but I was like, you know, I had already had a glimpse of stuff though, because I started doing parties and clubs in the military, right? And so, you know, I told God, I was like, you get me out of this, I'm gonna change my life, get it together.
Did you
So
do
I,
it?
yeah. No, you know, he got me out. Well, actually, that's a whole other story. But yeah, I didn't initially, you know, he had to give me a little wake up call, right? But then I came back, got into Santa Monica College, and I started writing for the newspaper at Santa Monica College, and I also did a music showcase, right? Because I was a student at Santa Monica, you could get the amphitheater, which was the same place they did the Cool Jazz Festival, right? You could get the amphitheater for $25.
Oh wow!
So I did a showcase there, booked the amphitheater, and some local artists came, and some artists that was signed to Death Row came.
Oh wow! Okay.
And so they was like, I wrote an article about the showcase. It somehow ended up getting over to Suge, and they invited me to review Murder Was the Case.
Oh.
Murder
Was the case.
Murder Was the Case. But see, but by that time, though, I had started. I was sitting outside Keisha building every day, so I didn't kick it in my own hood.
Now, what building is this? What street is this?
Oh, well, she lived on Pico in Manhattan.
Good
right,
time.
with her mom. She was living with her mom, right?
Good times in Pico in Manhattan.
Yeah, my homeboy Troy Dotson, shout out to Troy, you know what I'm saying? He lived next door to her, right? Lived right next door to her, right? And we was cool with her little brother, Pudge, right?
Okay. Yeah. Brian, is that what
Brian? Yeah, well, we call him Pudge, but Brian, yeah. So we was cool.
He looked like Pudge. She looked like
Pudge. We was cool with her brother, right? And so I didn't kick it in my own neighborhood. So I lived in Inglewood, right? But because I couldn't really be with them like that, and I was always getting in trouble, you know what I'm saying? So I started kicking over by her house because that neighborhood and my neighborhood was cool, right? You know, back then the gangbanging was still going on real tough, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, I'm from Inglewood, I was Blood. Like, you know, Bloods back then was rare as hell. So you could only kick it in so many hoods. And so I would kick it in the 20 hood. That's where they lived, right? So we would be sitting outside on her wall, right? And Keisha didn't mess with us. You know what I'm saying? She didn't mess with us at all, right? And you know, because Keisha was fly. She was always fly. You feel me? And we always be hitting on her, flirting with her, whatever. But she had no time for none of that. She was like, yeah, y'all some knuckleheads. I ain't fooling with y'all.
This is when she's working at Warehouse Records, right?
I don't know if she's working at Warehouse yet. I'm not. That's the part I'm not sure about, right? But she probably was, right? And so, because I didn't, like I said, we talked, but she didn't mess with us like that. We'd be sitting outside her building, drinking and smoking every night. Every night.
Of course, she ain't talking to y'all.
Every night.
Talk to y'all now. If you was out there drinking and smoking now, she wouldn't talk to you. But
nah. And so, but we sitting out there, and I don't know. I thought it was a Pathfinder with a Jeep, some kind of truck. When we rolling up, she would run out, jump in, and bounce. Okay, we would see you, right? It'd be other girls, but we could never really see the dudes because they wouldn't let the window down, right? So one night it was kind of hot, and they rolled up, and I think they was in the street, but they had to pull into the driveway. I don't know if the police came by, whatever. When they put into the driveway, we was like, oh shit, that's Daz and Corrupt, right? And so we was like, hey, y'all ain't got a trip. Anybody gonna do nothing? Like they knew they was out of bounds. You feel what I'm saying? They were trying to keep it on the low. We was like, nah, y'all cool. And so then she gets in the car and leaves. So the next day, I go and I was like, hey, where you be going? And she like, we be going to Hollywood to hang out. And I'm like, I want to go. She's like, you can't go with me dressed like that. I'm like, girl, stop. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I would come over there dressed to kick it on the block. But at the same time, I was still kind of
right. You had gear.
Moving. I had lived in Europe by then. I had been in the military by then. You know what I'm saying? So I had gear. I had bread. I had all that. You feel me? And so I was like, let me go with you. And she was like, so it was like about a week later. I had a car, you know, all that shit. So it was like a week later. I was like, okay, yeah, I came dressed, ready to roll, right? And we went to I want to say we either went to Carlos and Charlie. No, it wasn't Carlos and Charlie's. Okay, it became I think it was Jamaica House, but when it was on Sunset, right? I think that's where we went. But she was like, so I went with her. She was like, come on, you just going with us, right? So at the time, I wasn't trying to really because she was hanging out with a bunch of Crips. I was just trying to be like, okay, let's keep it on the low. I go into the club, right? And once she got me in, I went on and started making my own moves. I started seeing people I know, and I'm at the bar drinking, and she comes over, and it was her, and it was her. I would have remembered it was you, but it wasn't you.
Yeah,
it was
it wasn't me.
She came with, right? And she was like, she was like, buy me a drink. I was like, buy you a drink? You with these rapper niggas? What's up with that? And she was like, them niggas ain't got no bread. What? Okay. So I buy her a drink, buy her homegirls a drink, and I was like, that really became like the whole little dynamic. I was like, oh, they don't got no bread? So now I started going everywhere with Keisha and her homegirls. So I'm going everywhere with 6 or 7 girls. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how y'all used to roll, right? And so now dudes just want to know, well, who is this dude? Because they at the bar with me. You feel me? Because I'm
That's a smart move. See, the guys don't know that's a smart move. You don't go with the guys, you go with the girls.
Oh, yeah, nah. I mean, that's how I ended up meeting Dre. You know what I'm saying? Like, Dre asked somebody, like, who is that dude? You feel me? Because now they see me everywhere. You feel me? And but at the same time, I wasn't trying to be all up in their mix.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You just needed to get in with them, and then you could kind of move around.
Yeah, move around. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the VIP or whatever. But I had money to get me to move where I wanted to move. And so that's kind of how the whole thing jumped off. The crazy part about it is that Troy, my homeboy who lived next to Keisha, right? He's the person who ends up introducing me to Diamond when she was with GBM, because they was beef. All this is going on while I'm still at Santa Monica College. You see what I'm saying? So I'm doing that, and I ended up meeting Diamond, meeting, T-Ski, you know what I'm saying? Silky Fine, you know what I mean? And China, and they was beefing with each other because Easy had taken different groups and made one group.
Right.
They were supposed to
wait, question.
Say what?
Question. I'm sorry, question. Now, how much longer are we doing this for?
Oh, we can wrap this up now.
Okay, because we're gonna because we're gonna do this whole thing over again, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nah, but this is the feel of it. This is how it's gonna be.
Okay, so you're satisfied?
I'm beyond satisfied. This is dope.
Okay, great. Okay, so
yeah,
cool.
so
when she gets on, where's she gonna be at in the square?
Oh,
we don't know.
Yeah, no. It might be 3 tile, or it'll set it up so we all there.
Okay. Do you think I look like Beyonce tonight, or what? Am I tripping?
No, you got a little Beyonce action going on.
Okay, I thought I was bugging. I think it's the
hair. Okay, well, let me